Let's be real for a second. Have you ever actually stopped to think about how your entire digital life, all your accounts, your money, your private data, is basically protected by things that can be stolen, copied, or just forgotten? Well, today we're going to dive into a totally new way of thinking about digital identity, one that could finally fix the broken foundation of our entire online world. This quote, man, it just nails the problem, doesn't it? Every single time we create a password or an API key or some token, we're creating a secret. And the simple fact that the secret exists is a vulnerability just waiting to happen. It's not a question of if it gets exploited, but when. So yeah, that brings us right to our first big point. Our identity, the way it exists online right now, has become a massive liability. And we're about to break down exactly why the systems we trust every single day are built on such shaky ground. Here's the thing you gotta understand. Secrets are just data. And what's special about data? It can be copied perfectly, a million times over, and you'd never even know. This makes human error, like clicking one bad link or reusing a password, not just possible, but inevitable. The system is pretty much designed to fail because it expects us to be perfect, and, well, we're not. So what's the alternative? Well, check this out. Instead of relying on these easily shared secrets, a more modern way to do things is with digital certificates. Right off the bat, you can see they're way less vulnerable and easier to manage. But the real game changer is that last line, identity metadata. A certificate isn't just a key. It carries context about who you are and what you're allowed to do. A password? That's just a dumb key. It unlocks the door for literally anyone who gets their hands on it. Look, this isn't some brand new problem we just discovered. People have been wrestling with this for decades, trying to build a better system. So let's take a quick walk through that history to really get how we ended up here. And, more importantly, where we're headed next. It all started with centralized identity. You know, having a different username and password for every single website. A total mess, right? Then came federated identity. We got a little smarter and let big players like Google or Facebook handle our logins. Super convenient, sure, but it just created bigger targets. Self-sovereign identity, or SSI, was a huge leap forward. It put control back in our hands with things like digital wallets. But zero identity, that's the final frontier. It's not just about who controls the data, but about revealing as little of it as possible in the first place. This table really lays it all out. Just follow that control row. See how it moves from the service provider all the way over to you, the individual? Or check out privacy. We go from flimsy privacy settings to the absolute cryptographic magic of zero-knowledge proofs. And that last row says it all. The compliance risk, the danger of leaking personal data, drops to almost nothing. That's the goal. All right, so let's get to the good stuff. What is this zero identity promise all about? It's not just a small upgrade. It's a completely new way of thinking about trust online. And it's built on a few really cool core ideas that work together to give us real privacy and security by design. This right here is the fundamental shift. For its entire existence, the internet has run on a collect-to-verify model. To prove you're over 21, you have to show an ID with your name, your address, your exact date of birth, all this extra data. Zero identity flips that on its head. It's all about proving without revealing. You just prove the one fact, yes, I am over 21, without handing over any of the sensitive data behind it. So how does it work? The first piece of the puzzle is something called a decentralized identifier, or DID. Think of it less like a phone number that a company gives you, and more like a permanent, unique web address for your identity that you own and control, forever. It's how the world can find and verify you without needing to go through some big, central company. The next piece you need to know about is the Verifiable Credential, or VC. These are the actual bits of info about you, your college degree, your driver's license, proof that you work somewhere. But now they're digital, they're signed with powerful cryptography, and they're totally tamper-proof. You keep them safe in your digital wallet, and you decide who gets to see them and when. And this is how it all fits together. It's surprisingly simple. Step 1. The issuer, let's say your university, gives you a verifiable credential of your diploma. Step 2. You, the holder, pop it into your secure digital wallet. Step 3. A potential employer, the verifier, needs to confirm you graduated. You just present the credential directly to them. They can instantly check that it's real and that it came from your university, all without ever having to call anyone. It's a triangle of trust with no single point of failure. So we've been throwing around this phrase, proving without revealing. And you might be thinking, okay, but how is that actually possible? It sounds like magic. Well, it kind of is. It's the magic of cryptography. I mean, seriously, think about this question. It sounds like a riddle, right? How could you possibly prove you know a secret password without ever saying the password? Or prove you're old enough to get into a bar without showing your ID? This is the exact mind-bending problem that zero-knowledge proofs were invented to solve. So, a zero-knowledge proof, or ZKP, is basically a mathematical conversation. You, the prover, can convince a verifier that a statement is true, but they learn absolutely nothing else in the process. Not your birth date, not your credit score, nothing. The only thing they learn is a single bit of information, a simple yes or no to their question. That is it. Now, for a ZKP to actually be trustworthy, it has to have these three guarantees. Completeness just means it works when you're telling the truth. Soundness means you can't cheat the system if you're lying. And then there's the secret sauce, zero knowledge, which guarantees your privacy is protected because no extra info ever leaks out. Put them all together and you get mathematical trust.
Okay, I know this diagram looks a little technical, but the idea behind it is actually super powerful and simple. Your main account becomes the central hub that you control. From there, you can link all your devices, your phone, your laptop, whatever. But here's the cool part. You can also create separate public personas or avatars, one for your work life, one for gaming, another just for family. They're all different, but they're all tied back to you from one secure place. No more juggling 100 different accounts.
So, we've covered the why and the what. But how do we actually build this better, more private future? This last part is all about moving from theory to actually putting this stuff into practice. For anyone out there who's actually building these new systems, here are 4 golden rules. First, use open standards so that everyone's digital wallet can talk to everyone else's. Second, make privacy the default setting. Third, plan for human mistakes. Build in ways for people to recover their identity if they lose their phone. And finally, build these systems from day one to comply with modern privacy laws, like GDPR. At the end of the day, this is what we're all fighting for. This isn't just about cool new tech. It's about building a fundamentally healthier digital world. An internet where we can all participate and create and connect without that constant fear of being tracked, profiled, or having our lives ruined by the next giant data breach. It's about finally restoring some balance. So I'm going to leave you with this one question to chew on. When our digital identity stops being a source of risk, when it's no longer a liability but a tool that we control for our own empowerment, what becomes possible? What new things can we build and do? The potential is honestly staggering. Thanks for exploring it with me.